Or bow. It's either bow or bow. I'm not sure which one we're going with here, but hey. Oh! Oh, I can see who's in the background more easily. Whoa! That looks like Baroque.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
Here we go. "8 days after that earth-shattering trial, and Kazuma regaining his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel." Okay, it's still called Waterloo. Whoa! Pretty hotel in HD, though. 1st November, 10:24 a.m., Great Waterloo Hotel foyer. Professor Mikatoba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. I mean, I wouldn't be either! Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? That he was actually the mass murderer? The professor, you mean? I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikatoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right, but for some reason, he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then, about Kazuma showing up here in London, with amnesia, and that he regained his memories now. Ah, there she is! Men! Oh, father! Hello, Susato. How are you? Well, don't just stand there. Come over here and say hi to your daughter. I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted you've arrived safe and sound. What a nice suitcase, sir. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man? And why do I feel as though I've seen him before? I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seshiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap? What? Here we go, then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, guilty! Oh! You're... He's very handsome. Yes, Naruhodo, it be him. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency! Hello, Judge Jigoku. How are you? It's been a long time. Good, you remember now. That really did the trick. Guilty! Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. So, London again, after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. My headset is not sitting on my head. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Though, really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Yujin? Of course. Judge Jigoku. He must complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took a rather long time. I must say, I'm very envious of your mistral status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Too bad we're going through this! Ah, I knew you were jealous! Sorry? Ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on this study tour. Guilty as charged! Oh, well, thank you very much. He's really every bit as important as he looks. Nothing's glitching on my end. Ah, yes now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. Bark, bark goes my doggos! Yes, could you tell us any more about it? Let's present my armband! Professor Mikotoba, I wonder, could I show you something? Why do you seem so nervous? I suppose because I'm a student showing something to a professor. And that's always quite nerve-wracking. Well, I'm sorry I perturbed you in that way, but anyway, I'm afraid I have nothing useful to say about that, really. Let's examine the suitcase. Oh, I can't examine the suitcase. Okay. Look at that. It's a picture of the Crystal Tower. Well, the Great Exhibition is one of Britain's most prestigious achievements in recent years. I wonder how tall it is. It really does represent the pinnacle of scientific achievement in so many ways. There's a 20-meter tall chimney on the bathhouse near my lodgings at Yume University. The attention there is always boasting that it's the tallest object in the neighborhood. I'm sure. Did you know that over the channel in Paris, there's a tower that's 300 meters tall? What? How many times taller than a chimney at Yume Soken Hot Springs is that? And if it's that tall, how does it draw properly? The smoke would get stuck, surely. I don't think it's that sort of tower, Mr. Naruhodo. No, Naruhodo is so precious. That desk is known as the hotel reception. Anyone wanting to spend the night has to report there to sign in for their stay. Oh, so do you think that's the head clerk behind the desk there? Yes, I'm sure it must be. I'd love to stay in a grand hotel like this for a little while, wouldn't you? Just to know what it's like. If the hotel fee was paid through our stipend, I'm afraid it might bankrupt our homeland. True. London gives the word expensive a whole new meaning. It is a very fancy hotel. Have you seen all those sparkling jewels up there? They must have gathered every gem in the world for that.
Ah, it's called a chandelier, I believe. It's designed to provide elegant lighting in large, spacious rooms like this.
So they had to gather every gem in the world just to illuminate one room?
It's probably electric light bulbs that are actually throwing the light.
If I tried to hang something like that from the ceiling in the office, it would be scraping on the floor.
I think perhaps chandeliers aren't for you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh my god, Naruhodo's opinions about London is so great. Look at those cases just left there on that trolley. Aren't they worried about thieves? I know I am.
Haven't you seen the porter over there? Don't worry, he's obviously keeping an eye on everything.
Ah, so it's a trap, designed to catch any chancers who might be tempted. This porter looks familiar. Why did the porter give me such a scathing look just now, do you suppose?
Well, some might say you look a little suspicious with your jet black clothes.
Not everyone clad in black is some sort of ninja with intent to steal, you know? Also, there's a lot of gentlemen wearing black suits, like, come on! Come on, game! So how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. But it wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. Then I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time, we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience.
Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris.
We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow.
It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father.
It's thanks to Susato here. 16 years ago he managed to integrate himself with Britain's Attorney General. Ingrated? I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugen. You were close friends with the Professor of Forensic Science at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. No, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back.
Kazuma's father, I suppose.
Speaking of Kazuma's father, the professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy,
was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he?
That's correct. Genshin Asogi. Oh, his name has finally come up. Genshin.
You knew, I presume, Father.
Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a close trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland.
But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father?
No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Genshin Impact! Oh man, that's gonna make me mad. So many people are gonna be like, haha, look, his name is Genshin, like Genshin Impact. And I'm just gonna be sitting here like, freaking DGS came first before Genshin Impact, you nerds. Oh? Why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he were my own son. Then one day, he came to my office at the university and said, "I've decided. I want to travel to Great Britain and study there."
Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death?
I sure that's the only thing he wanted to do. I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually. Oh? What? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma's since turned up here in London, working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. What? What? That's news to us! So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part, then. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January.
But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father?
Strong fart. In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive. And here in London, you say. I ne'er dare even to dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now.
Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia.
What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. I see. He only regained his memories 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been the past few days. You don't tell me you haven't let these... Takumi, you didn't let these kids go talk to Kazuma at any point? Would it be wrong for us to go and visit? No! You're all friends! It is not wrong! Go see him! Oh my god, this game! That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genshin Usogi, and myself. We were the original 3. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel across overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yuma University at the time, you know, young lady.
Yes, grandmother told me.
What a conundrum. He went to do research at the great London hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan. Yes, it's an eerie place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. Oof, not more talk of graves. Very often, there's no one willing to deal with the bodies following autopsy work. So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. Do you remember that Scottish prison governor, Caden? His name was. He was a good man. Wow, wait, we brought up Harry Barricade already? Yes, but then of course in our 6 years here, everything changed with that dreadful case. Wow, they actually brought up Barricade. I don't remember Barricade coming up this early. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders, I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but But you were a little too far. You went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. He was a lost cause, sadly. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long.
I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here.
Susato-san's gone off at a run. I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow.
Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck.
Naruhodo. I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her, as you obviously have been.
Oh, no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me.
Well, I do appreciate you being there for her. After all, I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down.
What? Mikotoba!
Sorry? What do you mean? Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life too.
Oh, yes. Susato-san hinted at something like that.
Mikotoba is probably one of the better dads in the Ace Attorney universe, to be honest.
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. And it was then that Seshiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind. So perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. So, that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say.
I completely understand, Professor.
Ah, one other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you.
Oh, really? Of course! What can I do for you? I'm so sorry that took so long.
Miss Susato.
Now then, allow us to take your bags.
Allow me to take your bags. One moment, if you please, porter. Of course, sir. That machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Yes, this is a juror. They just reused his assets. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Yes, of course. There we go, the picture. I think he's juror 3 or something from, like, case 3 in the first game.
I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It really made Father very happy, I think.
Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikotoba was about to ask me something.
Shall we return to Baker Street then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us.
Yes, let's go. He's either 3 or 4. Oh wait, juror 3 is the barber. He's juror 4. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma though. Go see him! Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. What? Go! You don't need permission! You're all friends! Go see him! Angry face! 1st November, Naruhodo's legal consultancy. This should give me the last this should give me the shovel spade achievement. The spade is still here. Look.
Please, Mr. Naruhodo, it's not a spade, as I think you well know. It's a shovel.
It didn't take long to reignite that old argument.
Ah, I have an idea. Let's give the implement a name, like Professor Hairbrain named his tools.
Ooh, I never thought of doing that.
From now on, then, it's called Ryunosuke.
No. It's clearly much more of a Susato. The old argument has taken a new and unexpected turn, it seems. There we go! Ace of Spades gained! All done with that. Do I have any new dialogue?
The steam is rising gently from the kettle as always.
Yes, it does feel right somehow, unless it doesn't feel right somehow unless it does. Unless it is. But the steam has an unusual scent today.
Perhaps the sweet potatoes that I brought back from Japan with me already.
Sweet potatoes.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, I heard that, you know.
Tears of joy, Miss Susato, from my mouth. Call the shovel a sogi! When you serve me tea, it always takes me back to Japan.
I know you're not particularly fond of the bitter taste, are you? So I do always try to pick out less bitter matcha for you.
She does often serve up an unusually mellow bland, it's true. But the anticipation of the taste in my mouth makes me bitterly worried anyway.
It is very difficult for you, isn't it?
You see? I've been keeping my desk beautifully covered in papers, as always.
You really must tidy it all up, Mr. Naruhodo. No more excuses.
But Miss Susato, the way I see it, all these papers building up on my desk like this are a reminder of my wonderfully diverse daily life. I like to leave them as they are, so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences.
In that case, you should definitely have a thorough tidy. Then you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again and feel that joy renew.
Still can't beat her in an argument, even though I'm the lawyer here. Yeah, I also would prefer matcha latte myself. That Naruhodo is still winking at me. Look. I wonder when he'll finally get his other eye filled in.
Yes, I wonder.
Well, you should know, Susato-san. I entrusted the task to you.
The truth is, I have already decided when that will be.
What? Really? When?
That's my little secret.
God damn it.
It's a lovely photograph we took together when I had to leave London, though it was a sad day. But I happily have the same photograph on display in my room at home, you know.
Now that we're all back together again, it would be nice to take a new photograph.
Oh yes, that would be wonderful. My desk is just as it was before I left.
Sumi ink and a calligraphy brush, even though we're in England now. That strikes me as typically you, Miss Susato, and typically not you at the same time.
Well, I do enjoy all wonderful new things to come out of the West in the Cultural Revolution, of course. But I'm not ready to give up my brush just yet.
And anyway, Susato-san can write more neatly with a brush than most people can with a pen.
Practice makes perfect, as they say. All the sea lice seem very content in there, I must say.
I've noticed something recently, actually. The anemones breed at a most extraordinary rate.
Oh, really?
It's a mystery why the whole seabed isn't buried in a mountain of them, actually.
Oh, how splendid! That really is a mystery, isn't it?
I wish there was someone here to explain Susato-san's strange reaction to that. Your room across the hall is undisturbed, of course. I don't suppose I'd be permitted to see inside now that you're back, though, would I?
You know very well that only Iris is allowed inside.
Yes, I heard you two giggling together in there again last night.
You can visit Mr. Sholmes in his room, Mr. Naruhodo.
Last time I did that, he tried to convince me to drink some strange concoction he mixed up. First November, Sholmes Suite. What? We? What was that?
A man screaming in a most unflattering way.
Do you think... Could it have been Mr. Sholmes?
Oh my, I do hope not.
Oh!
I don't do it anymore!
Mon ami, these two!
Such the graceful display, huh?
Who are these people? Look at their hair. It's bright red.
I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes.
Right, you two. You're coming with me now. Down to the clink.
No, not in the prison. It is dark and damp. I don't like it.
Won't the darkness, it is my friend. I am not scared.
But you are always scared of the dark.
Oh, shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist.
I don't like this. I don't like it.
Well, tough. We'll finish this down the yard. Now get moving.
Bye then, Genie. Have fun.
These two sound like they're a ball of fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris. And thanks, you great detective.
Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she?
Take all the bees.
Oh, Susie and Bruno.
Hello, Iris. We're home.
Well, did you find your daddy?
Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend.
Oh, well that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon.
Yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest problem known to man. Sir! But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order. Don't you, my dear fellow? Sir, your hair is red! Extreme Ronald McDonald red. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say.
Come along then, everyone. I brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea.
Whatever is going on here today? In that case, let us sit and drink now, for I am in fact expecting a guest later today. Sir, we're not gonna address your red hair. Mr. Sholmes, about this. Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, is this the first time you've shown me this particular trinket? Oh, I don't really remember, to be honest. If my saying that it's a collar for a breed of a miniature canine with a particular long neck were to precipitate a "here we go again" from your lips, we could be sure it was not the first time. Whoa, this is so meta! Deduction, you see, my dear fellow. Deduction. That was cool. It's the game's like, you have been sharing this armband way too many times, sir. I finally managed to remember this behemoth's name, the Great Atlantiscope.
I don't think it was here when I left for Japan, was it?
Oh, this might be a line that we already had. Yep, that was a line we've already had. Alright, what about this one? This is Mr. Sholmes' famous violin. The one he found being sold for a song at a pawnbrokery. What's it called again? A Shodi something? Alright, nothing new there. Oh, hello! Hello, that wasn't there before. The mask Cosimo wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up.
We ought to give it back to him, I suppose.
But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself.
But isn't he your best friend?
Look, it's just best friend things, okay? My eyes is always drawn to this big metal chest that Mr. Sholmes and Iris use as a coffee table.
Isn't it where Iris keeps her most important papers?
It is. So you think that they'd treat it with more care, really. But only the other day, I saw Mr. Sholmes kick it.
Oh no!
I suppose something must have been frustrating him.
What a shame to mistreat the furniture, though. Was it damaged?
The chest was fine, but Mr. Sholmes was doubled up on the floor for almost 10 minutes.
Oh dear. That is a painful tale.
That's not new. This blackboard is where Iris scribbles down her latest ideas, isn't it? Let's see. Oh, she seems to have drawn a lot of little stick figures all lined up. Look.
Cheap apples at the market.
That's nothing new. Iris's pretty little tea set is set out beautifully as ever. Look.
Well, it's only by carefully taking care of a tea set that you can make good tea.
Is that a roundabout way of telling me I need to tidy my desk?
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you do overthink things at times. That's Iris's wonderful collection of medicines, potions, and chemicals. Just look at all the little bottles she's squeezed onto the shelves.
Yes, and there's a charming little ribbons tied around the bottles too. But the labels aren't quite so charming, are they? This one reads Deadly Poison.
Oh, I've been so excited about the idea of helping Iris with her experiments, you know.
Just try to avoid any bottles labeled Deadly Poison or Highly Explosive. If I remember correctly, this large and imposing lump of iron is called a typewriter. And skipping that too. Alright, good thing I'm not analyzing too many things today, I guess. So, hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes, who are the two gentlemen that were here before?
Oh, just a pair of petty criminals. Nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions.
Thank you for the follow!
When the mood takes you?
All manner of infractions?
But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out.
Oh my! You are the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes.
But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally.
You should have asked Gregsy to come, too. We could have had an arresting tea party.
I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming.
The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Aha, I have it. A bungler, that's the word.
It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. He's not here, is he? So the redheads had been up to no good.
I wonder what the men did.
Actually, can I examine that newspaper that's sitting on the bed? Oh, I can. Oh.
This looks like last week's edition.
What's that article circled in red ink there?
It's an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League."
The Red-Headed League? What's that?
I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but...
Is something on my face? Sir, it's not your face. Clearly this has something to do with that lively hair. Red-Headed League article. An advertisement from the newspaper that's entitled To the Red-Headed League. It seems somewhat suspicious in nature. Okay, well, I'm glad I checked that newspaper. What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before?
Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes?
How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance?
Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere. Possibly.
It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops.
Wait, what? We were apes?
Indeed, and from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man.
Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes?
Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent.
Two mentions of Charles Darwin now.
But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tuspels only the other day?
Pshaw, a large sum? One potted herb for Iris and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you.
Well, yeah, you bought a motor car.
Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it.
Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least.
And what was the answer?
Why, there is a substantial clue. Before your very eyes.
What, your hair?
Don't tell me. Let me see.
Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There is one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think.
We noticed it like 20 minutes ago.
In the end?
Sir, it's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation.
I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, I gotta present the newspaper, I think. Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out of this charade if this charade goes on much longer. Hey! So about Kazuma! Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us...
I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that.
That case aboard the SS Brea in January. Kazuma wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on?
The fellow was unconscious for a long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area.
They were all in cahoots!
Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse.
A murdered corpse. Holmes!
Oh, how horrible.
It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course.
But why? Why do it in the first place? Also, poor Nicomina?
I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course.
Of course, you're not gonna tell me now.
But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events.
What events? his disappearance in Hong Kong.
Oh,
I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. Sir! Come on, you gotta give me more than that. Also, here's a newspaper. It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League. Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sure, let's go with that, sorry. In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? So what is this Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you circled? You noticed it in the paper then? I mean, it's hard not to, you circled it. That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. You did miss me meeting Jigoku. He was as boisterous as I remembered him. That doesn't entirely surprise me.
but listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week.
But why? What are they paying people for?
That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement.
But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case.
You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance.
That might be stretching a point, I think.
The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see?
Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to join in his place?
Correct. I mean, look at me.
Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. In fact, it seems a little too unnaturally red. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. A blunder? What'd you do, buddy?
What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes?
I'm glad you asked, Miss Susato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight, by the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into the method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves, and in the course of my work I stumbled upon a potion that when taken, turns one hair a flame-like red. Would you like to try it? It'll make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. No, thank you! I think I'll pass.
But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it?
Ah, amateurs are always hampered by such fears.
Oh, I should never have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes, you mean to say.
But of course. To earn £4 per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. A little? That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely. It's freaking Ronald McDonald red, man.
So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members.
So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk, like a coaster's orange barrow.
I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front. But when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?"
I see your disguise are failing you, Mr. Sholmes.
So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police.
Wow, he got salty and angry and had a hissy fit. So he went and arrested 2 redheads to take off his anger. Okay.
Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those 2 redheads. Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today.
Indeed, Miss Susato, that is correct.
Not another of those redheaded gentlemen that were here before?
Not at all. They were petty villains. The guest I'm expecting is a client.
Oh?
A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less.
Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes.
You must stay and observe the fashion in which a great detective deceives his customers.
Must we?
I have you in my clutches now, Rent. Just as I have you in my clutches, redheads.
That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel. You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. Don't feel as though you must wait around if you have other things to do.
I mean, I guess we do need to go see Strongheart. So let's go see him. And a certain man with a really nice ass. Oh, I was thinking of the other one with the really nice ass, but this works too. He has a nice ass too. 1st November, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Here's to the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I supplemented your original with the figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord. What? They have nice ass! What's Lord Van Zeek's doing here?
My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say?
This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. Hello, sir! My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me. That's nice. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. Pardon the noise in the background.
From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here.
I'm wearing a blue outfit right now. Sorry, people were crossing through. He's already wearing a DLC outfit. It's blue. It's just you just can't see it. Clearly the DLC outfit is all in Naruhodo's imagination at this point. Now then, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, my lord. I'm right here.
Ugh, kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature. Naruhodo!
If you're sure, the beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because of the daggers you're staring at me with. Mainly. Are you mad at me, Strongheart? I feel like you are. As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madam.
Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited.
I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room. In your capable hands, then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once. Hi, sir! Don't look at me like that.
He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he?
I know, but I haven't done anything. Have I? I mean, that trial... These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of service?
Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Seth.
Oh, of course. Naruhodo! I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, Fear not. You've done nothing wrong. Dr. Sif's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. Lord Van Zix is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Though disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday. Oh. Missing? What? Where did Kazuma go?
What's become of Kazuma-sama now?
I don't know. Let's present my armband. Hi! Could I show you this, Lord Strongheart? I'm the Lord Chief Justice. I'm not here to offer advice about evidence. Oh. Especially when the evidence in question is so dull. Ah, so that's the real reason. Can I present this too? Nope, it's the same. Hello! Good evening, everyone. Do I have to do dialogue or... Yep, same dialogue. Okay, I think everything is the same dialogue in here. So, let us talk. Not long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million.
30 million? Are there even that many people in the world?
Much, much more than that, Naruhodo.
As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital Tokyo is 2 million.
I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries. It sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see the wholesome adoption of forensic investigation techniques, and cooperation between police organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why this landmark's first symposium had to be hosted here, at the heart of our great British Empire, in order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the world. He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something.
You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about the future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. Why are we all bonking Asogi now? I thought we were bonking Strong Fart. I first established a forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Sith at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensic investigation department. And can you not do that now? Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep the story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancements in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say. Unintended repercussions of our trial.
We simply couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though.
Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way. No, this isn't ominous or anything. Like, I like your ideals and everything, sir, but it does sound really ominous coming from you. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. So, why did you put him to Van Zeek's? Yes. That came as a surprise to me, I must say. That you and he are old friends. Is it really a surprise? How did he become an apprentice to Lord Van Zeek's in the first place? It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel.
Oh my! So he stowed away to get here.
He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's. That way I could keep an eye on him. As his pet. I'm sorry. The way Vortex is talking about him, I'm sitting here like, I can definitely imagine him saying, I'm going to just keep him as a pet. But then, why the mask? I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern apprentice. Because it would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask? He's proven to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's. I have high hopes for his future. By the way, do you know where he's gone? No idea. But I believe he left London for the time being.
Oh.
I take it you also didn't know.
I feel like they should!
That's the man's father. That the man's father was one of the country's most infamous criminals, I mean. Genshin Osogi. What we learned from that trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was... Ah yes, Genshin Osogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain.
They were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon.
And no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student, invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Damon, pick another role model! Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London.
The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand.
Correct. However, it has to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause.
What?
Supporters of the mass murderer? The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. Or so a fair few thinkers in London believed, anyway. Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it? Murder is still murder. Great motive! Still murder!
It seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper of the Bailey.
Oh yeah, it kinda does. I got nothing else, then? Sir? I guess I have nothing else. Wait, hold on. Is there more to this? Nope, I have nothing else to look at. Get 4 pounds a week if you are a redhead? I guess that's it. Where are we going now? I guess we'll go back to the suite. It probably been an hour? Okay, it has been.
Aha! Here is my guest now, my latest client, with money to spend.
I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley.
Remember, Iris, we are at present gripping by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating, save locating a runaway, of course.
Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you?
Oh dear. I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due.
Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Herlock Sholmes, please! Oh, please! It's juror number 2! Please find my husband! He's run away! Well, it's a runaway case. Sorry, Sholmes.
To upset me. I beg your pardon? Never mind. A personal matter. My apologies. Sholmes, what exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo?
I didn't say a word.
Come, my dear madam, be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please.
Of course.
What's the matter, Miss Susato? Oh, it's just that the gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before, very recently. Yes, now you come to mention it. As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. Evie Vigil? I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure.
Money and wealth are of little consequences to me, madam. I can't remember what her first name is, but her last name was Middlemont. I don't remember what her first name was. Yeah, Evening... It's obviously Evening Vigil, which works with her husband, which is like... I can't think of the new name right now, but I remember that at least her husband's name was Everyday Middlemont. I can't remember what I don't remember what this wife's first name was. It's Anna Middlemont? Okay, thank you. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence.
I will, of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you remember your words also.
If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be...
Oh, me?
What I am about to tell you, I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand.
Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me.
Oh, I see.
I can vouch for the gentleman personally, after all. He's hard of hearing. Sholmes!
Why did I ever get my hopes up? That was a line from the Sherlock Holmes stories, too.
Oh, I can present my armband to her!
Miss Vigil, would you mind casting your eyes over this? Whoops. Oh, my poor Daily. Daily Vigil, there we go. Where have you gone? What's become of you? I'm afraid she's too worried about her husband to pay any attention, Mr. Naruhodo.
And I keep pushing the wrong button. Sorry, I gotta stop pushing the shoulder buttons.
Either that, or she just doesn't want to be bothered with me.
Okay, well, let's talk then. Hello!
Mrs. Vigil. Forgive me for asking, Mrs. Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps.
Oh my! Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion.
Well, daily sounds better than every day, that's for sure.
Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week?
Thank you for giving me all the shipping materials. I have so much fanfic to write now. I knew I recognized her. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sent shivers down my spine. I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now. It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer. Being hard of hearing, I mean. Oh no. Pardon?
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was fippery.
Really? Nothing more? Oh my god. Now look what you've started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much.
I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner.
Yes.
Tell us about your husband, madam.
Mr. Vigil, my daily is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here.
An entirely unremarkable gentleman. By appearance, at least.
Oh, I don't know, he seems kind of handsome.
How long have you been married?
It will be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably.
As it would appear, I need only look at you to know these things. Oh, gosh. Your dress is the latest style, your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct?
That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me.
Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or other.
Oh, that's exactly what I fear must have happened, Mr. Sholmes. I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employee is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will?
What exactly is your husband's line of work?
He's a warder at the prison.
A guard? That is somewhat unusual.
So, your husband is a prison warder?
That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder.
Indeed, I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation.
Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they are carried out.
Dreadful punishments? Does she mean capital punishments?
And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than the other wardens, or warders. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged?
Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes.
Really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there is a large cemetery just behind it.
Yes, that is correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
No. Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court. That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet undeniable.
Sorry, Mr. Sholmes. I'm afraid you've lost me.
Pay no heed, madam. Pay no heed. A private matter.
This can't really be a coincidence, can it? In this game, everything is a coincidence.
So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing?
Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday.
I'm sorry? Yesterday?
That really is recent. Laughably so.
The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to not return at home at night, but this is different. For him not to make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever can have happened?
My dear Miss Vigil, please, calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police?
Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for one day. I was asked to wait patiently at home.
In truth, Mrs. Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it. See, if you need to say that, that means you don't.
You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
Thank you, your entire fortune. You seek only to put this sweet's rent in your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it. Thank you for everything you have shared with us, Mrs. Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation.
Oh, please report to me as soon with good news, sir.
Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report. I'm quite sure.
So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes.
Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. Photograph of Mr. Vigil, a photographic print received from Mrs. Vigil in order to aid with locating her missing husband. He appears to have no particular distinctive facial features. Thank you. Now allow me to show you the door.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think it every time, Hurley. But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two? Are you sure?
I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of day tomorrow. If by that time I have successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent! And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that.
Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery.
Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghost of condemned convicts.
Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated.
The professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed. But nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Run along to the prison and see what you can glean, would you? It's the prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried. But aren't you gonna go yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen with this hair! Sholmes! But didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was quite a different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now if you excuse me, I'm rather busy. With what, sir? You can't go anywhere, so what are you gonna do? Of course you are. What the heck are you doing, sir? Where is he? Is he here? Nope. We'll go there in a moment. I'm just wondering where he went. Is he anywhere? Is he up here? Nope. Okay. I don't know. I just kind of imagine he might have been up here or something. Alright, we'll go to the governor's office as soon as I get a drink of water. He's putting on clown makeup. Oh my god. It's time for Mr. Harry Barricade, also known as Barry Caden. Barclay Prison is on the outskirts of London, backing onto a lonely burial ground. Its 4 high outer walls loom quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown the governor's office in the watchtower. 1st November, Barclay Prison, governor's office. Also, thank you for the follow. This place is full of hardened criminals. I can't remember the last time a civilian was doomed here. Hello, sir. And you didn't want to talk to an inmate, but to me. Now that's an interesting accent you have too. You can who I am. I'm the governor, Barry Kate. Huh? Told you his name's Barry Caden. Oh yes, it's a pleasure. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. I'm not real. I think I like Harry Barricade a little bit more, but Barry Caden is pretty funny. And an Easterner, I see. Does that mean... Oh, he's Scottish! Oh, no, I can't do Scottish. I can't even do Irish. Yes, I'm a visiting student of law from the Empire of Japan. Japan? You say Japan? Yes? Well, there's no any of your kind in here, laddie. Maybe you should try the prison next door, eh? I didn't notice another prison next door, sir. Anyway, we came to ask you some questions about... I didn't like to be so direct, but... I have no intention of speaking with the likes of you, suspicious-looking Easterners. Now get out of my hair. So as soon as he finds out that we're from Japan, he reacts like this. That surely means... I think it's because of the professor case. You think so too? Okay, but I don't know how to speak Scottish. Okay, I can't. Okay, more like I can speak Scottish like this if possible, but I can't do it when I have to speak in a different tone. And this is a gruff guy, so it's like I can't pretend to even try Scottish. 10 years ago, Genshin Asogi, also known as the Professor, was incarcerated at this prison. And then, after his execution, he apparently re-emerged from his grave in the cemetery behind the prison. But I might have known! You're sniffing around about that case, aren't you? You're agents, eh? Part of the Professor's great web, no doubt. No, not at all. We're just... Get going with ya, before I punch your lights out. We're going! Clearly, the ghost of that killer still haunts this place. We're not gonna get anywhere here, unless we can somehow prove this man that there's nothing suspicious about us. Governor Caden. What are you thinking, Mrs. Sato? I feel sure that name came up in conversation recently somewhere. I was wondering if whoever mentioned him might have some ideas to help us. Come to think of it, I have the same feeling. Okay, alright sir, we'll be right back. Well there! Hello there, Mikatoba! Enjoying the papers? That's Professor Mikatoba over there. Ah, hello you two. I was just taking a moment to catch up on the world now that I'm unpacked. But where's Judge Jigoku? Yes, he's not the relaxing sort. He's taken himself off to pay his respects to all the legal bigwigs. Having only just arrived in the country today. Goodness, he's full of energy. Professor, you mentioned something before about how you known the prisoner governor at Barclay Prison. Oh, Governor Caden, you mean? So it is the same man. Father, we must speak with the governor. But he refused to talk to us. He said we were suspicious Easterners. Well, I'm sure if I accompany you, it would be a very different story. Oh, would you? That would be wonderful, if you have the time now. Sadly, as you see, I'm very busy at the moment. Busy drinking coffee on a comfortable set? Now, I have rather a lot to prepare for tomorrow, you know. Oh, sorry. I didn't say that out loud, did I? Yes, maybe? You Mikotobas are alarmingly good at reading people's thoughts.
Or could it be that you Naruhodos are alarmingly bad at hiding your thoughts?
Yes. Let's not fall out now. I have an idea. What's he writing on that piece of paper? Here's a letter of introduction for you. Hopefully when he sees my name, he'll change his tune. Thank you. Letter of introduction. A note of introduction on our behalf from Professor Mikotoba to Governor Caden. Hopefully now he'll be willing to talk to us. Good luck then. Thanks! Was that it? Okay, I guess that was it. Alright, thanks Mikotoba, I really appreciate it. Hi! I got something for ya! If you just cast your eyes over this, Governor Caden. What's this, then? You can't put the world over my eyes for you good-for-nothing Japanese student. Oh, this is so hard. Mikotoba. Oi! Aye, that young jock from the forensic laboratory, that Mikotoba. Yeah, I see, I can't, if I want to go deep, I can't do it. I have to stay where my range is. Yes, exactly, him.
Oh dear, perhaps I should have said something sooner. I'm Yujin Mikotoba's daughter, Susato.
Jeez, you're the young man's daughter. Why didn't you think to mention that for?
I do apologize.
Aye, well, you best take the seat then. Can I offer you a cup of tea, perhaps? And don't forget to try one of these wee handcuff biscuits. Biscuits! I don't miss the... I miss those biscuits! Your father's influence is nothing short of amazing.
I'm bitterly regretting not announcing who I was from the outset now.
Okay, so then, what can I do for you then?
Well, we're currently investigating a case.
It's one of your warders, you see. He's gone missing. Missing! The wee handcuff biscuits are quite good.
That's right. It's surely been reported to you as well, being the prison and governor.
I've heard nothing of the sort. There's no missing persons in my prison. Oh? But how can that be? Biscuffs!
It's Mr. Daily Vigil, your chief warder.
Eh? Vigil? That's right. His wife came to us and asked us to investigate his disappearance. Let's skip the part about him only going missing yesterday for now. Clearly that means something to him.
Would you be so kind as to tell us what you know, sir?
Aye, of course. Speaking in Scottish is very hard. I'm probably not going to try too hard with it. Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to understand what I'm saying. I never have expected to find a parrot in a prison. It must be the governor's pet.
Given where we are, it's hard not to see the poor creature as a prisoner.
Let me out! Let me out! Didn't kill me! Okay, that's a parrot. Has the bird learned to mimic the plaintive cries of the inmates in the cells? Oh, that's kind of messed up. Wait, no. He was one of the 3 siblings, you see. He still calls out the names of his two brothers like that all the time. That's their names? What the heck is the name of this parrot? Right.
Mute! Did you kill me?
Aye, aye! I hear you, laddie. You want your dinner, eh? Didn't do it. Didn't do it. Didn't do it. Goodness. Accents are fun, but also, like, struggles. That's a very large cage full of papers, isn't it? It's labeled Inmate Register. Look. And all the files are in alphabetical order. That's 50 years worth of records of Accolade inmates. Whether or not they left alive after serving their term. All the details about the crime they committed are recorded in there, like an epitaph, you might say. Didn't do it.
A record of crimes and punishment. How dispiriting.
And yet, this man seems to be enjoying tea and biscuits as he talks about it.
I suppose these are all former governors of Barclay Prison, are they?
Either that or former inmates who the governor has sent to the gallows.
Oh dear. They all have such severe expressions. I really couldn't deny either possibilities.
Especially the one on the extreme right. This expression goes beyond severe into a whole new territory. That one's me.
I'm terribly sorry, sir.
Is it a prerequisite of the job, perhaps? Having a severe expression, I mean. Of course it's not. Although, it is taking into consideration. A lot. An axe, a hunting rifle, and 4 pairs of handcuffs. That's a daunting collection. Ah, there's a story behind every one of those. You mean, the rifle was a famous killer's murder weapon? And the axe was wielded by an infamous executioner? And the handcuffs were once used to immobilize a fierce 4-legged beast when it was arrested? Your imagination, Naruhodo.
I think you're in the realms of fantasy now, Mr. Naruhodo.
Not those kinds of story, Jimmy. That axe was the one I used to chop down the cherry tree at my house. Mrs. Caden was nae best pleased. Huh. And the cuffs on the left are the ones I caught my first burglar with back when I was a bobby.
The stories were a little different to those you imagined, I think, weren't they?
Yes, to my relief, and in some way, small way, my disappointment. This grandfather clock is
fitted with a terrifying blade that keeps dropping down.
It's modeled on the guillotine, a French execution device. You might have heard of it. And yes, afore you ask, it can chop. Heads off, you mean? Heavens no! Carrots and parsnips and so forth.
Oh.
If you place a large carrot at the bottom there in the lawn, by the evening it'll have been cut clean in two. Oh, it's a very blunt blade.
Well, the blade must have an most indescribable edge on it then.
Anything else for me to hit up? Nope. Alright, let's wait. Can I examine the deer? I can examine the deer. That deer has been staring at me for a while now.
It has?
The poor thing can't fit through the small hole in the wall, but it can't get its head back out again either. It's giving me a woefully imploring look. Naruhodo? It's not real.
It's not real, Mr. Naruhodo. It's stuffed.
What? I mean, yes, of course it is. For a moment, I thought it was another assassin sneaking in via the ventilator.
I don't like to say, but I think perhaps you need to reread The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes.
We understand that Mr. Visual is the chief warder here at the prison. Aye, that he was. Strong sense of responsibility and dedicated to the job, no doubt about it. He was a fine warder. Sorry, did you say was? Aye, he doesn't work here no more. He left the job.
Oh my!
When was this exactly? That's a question. There's a question. When was it about? It can't have been much less than, 10 years ago now.
What?
Why? This is like DL6 all over again. 10 years ago? All these coincidences popping in now. He stopped working here 10 years ago? Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Aye, as I minded. You ken, I haven't heard the fella's name in all that time. That's a worry if he's gone missing, though. But Mrs. Vigil made no mention of it.
I think perhaps, Mr. Naruhodo, that his wife simply doesn't know. I think she's unaware that he no longer works here.
Governor Caden, can you tell us what happened? Why did Mr. Vigil give up his job here? That's important, is it? Yes, I believe it may be.
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo?
I can't help wondering, given that it was 10 years ago. Which was exactly when the professor was being held at this prison.
So Mr. Vigil actually resigned from the position of chief warder 10 years ago, you're telling us. What happened to make him leave the job?
In actual fact, he didn't leave the job willingly. He had no choice in the matter. You mean, he was dismissed? It was after a particular walk. Sorry, a walk? Aye, that's a word for it in here. A walk to the gallows. An execution. It's the job of the chief warder to prepare the gallows tree and oversee an execution, you see. Only, Vigil did something unthinkable on the last walk he was manning.
What did he do?
I'm sorry, but I can't reveal that information. But I can tell you that it's very hard for a chief warder to be relieved of his post. But why wouldn't Mrs. Vigil know about it? She appears to be under the impression that her husband still works here. I wouldn't ken anything about that, I'm afraid. About that.
Can you perhaps answer one more question about the circumstances of his dismissal?
And what would that be, in?
That last execution that Mr. Vigil was responsible for overseeing. Was it by any chance the professor's?
My thoughts exactly. I'm sorry, I really am. But I have no liberty to answer that.
I see. My father came to Britain all those years ago in order to study forensic medicine. But you seem to have been well acquainted.
The dead room, the prison, and the cemetery have a lot to do with one another. After all, they need the fresh corpse for forensic research. Do you ken?
Yes, I can imagine. The advancement of medical science isn't always particularly palatable.
Your father worked in the laboratory just on the far side of the graveyard. In the basement of St. Sinner's. Still in use today.
St. Sinner's? That's come up before, I'm sure. Yes, that's right. We've been there.
Mikatoba and I have used the ride in the carriage together and negotiate terms.
For more fresh material, I suppose.
Aye, and we used to sit in here for hours and gab the boot dissection and sorts. Which it takes me back. Over a pot of tea and a plate of cuff biscuits, of course.
How charming.
He was a good fella, your father. Reliable and dead set on his work. But I'm afraid I'll never understand you Japanese. Because of Genshin Asogi, I suppose. Well, I can't tell you anything else.
Thank you so much for your time, Governor.
Oh, one moment before you go your way, then. I'm sure I have it here somewhere. Ah, found it. Here, take this as a wee souvenir of your visit to the prison.
What is it?
That's Vigil's dismissal notice. It's 10 years old now, of course.
Oh my! Are you sure?
Aye, it's no trouble at all. It's no the original mind. Dismissal notice. The harsh reprimand incurred by Mr. Vigil 10 years ago that resulted in him losing his job as chief warder of Barclay Prison. Thank you very much, Governor Caden. Well, in return, do me a favor and never come back here. That case is closed.
Well, I think we ought to return to Baker Street for the time being.
Yes, I agree. We need to report back to Mr. Sholmes with what we found out about Mr. Vigil. I appreciate it, sir, but I highly doubt this will be the last time we're going to talk to you. But what will he tell Mrs. Vigil, I wonder? All right, back to Baker Street and we go. First November, Sholmes Suite. We're back. Hello, you two. I don't know who's talking.
I thought you'd be back before long, so I baked some scones for us all.
So that's what the delicious smell is. Greetings, my dear fellow. Now your hair is blue! I mean, I appreciate it because blue is my favorite color, but also your hair is blue, sir! You've returned a good deal sooner than I was anticipating. Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Say nothing. Your thoughts are written all over your face in any case. It turns out that it may have been advisable to test my hair coloring restoration tonic before application.
Oh my.
Pray, tell me, what of our warder friend? Have you garnered some new information? Oh, yes. Something very surprising, in fact. Though it's not a patch on your hair, to be honest.
It most certainly isn't. But still, we discovered that... Sholmes!
Drop everything, Sholmes! This is more important! Gina? Oh dear.
I can't Adam and Eve it. What's happened?
Clearly a very grave matter indeed. For Miss Lestrade made no mention of my hair whatsoever. Sholmes, not right now!
It's the boss.
What do you mean? Inspector Gregson?
The boss is... He's dead.
What?
They just found his body, shot with a pistol.
What? Huh?
But, Inspector Gregson?
He was murdered?
No, not Gregsy.
Come in, my dear girl. Tell us the whole story.
Hello?
Are you serious, Gina? Is Inspector Gregson was... He was really shot?
I don't know much about what happened myself yet. They're still there, investigating the scene.
Where did this take place? a little rented room in a building full of flats on Fresno Street. The outskirts of town, nowhere near his home. He was perhaps investigating a case then. The thing is, no one on the yacht knows nothing about no case around there. Oh, how strange. The boss was... He was so good to me. I know I ain't up too much yet, but one day I was gonna show him. I was gonna show him I'd become a proper detective.
Oh, Jeannie.
No, Jeannie, sad Jeannie, it makes me very upsetty. So, who did this? Do you have any idea who the culprit is? They got him already. Already? They've caught the shooter so soon? A witness reported something was going on, and the boys got straight down there and took care of him. Who? What artful person did this? I still can't believe it myself. Gina? It was the Reaper. I guess it was only a matter of time. Wait a minute. You don't mean they've arrested Lord Van Zeeks for it? That's right. That Reaper bloke's gone and shot the boss. No. Lord Van Zeeks? Are you quite sure, Miss Lestrade? It's Baroque Van Zeeks the police have arrested. I saw him with me own eyes, in the interview room at the yard. I don't believe it. But there were witnesses, and they're all saying it was him. So you mean there were actually multiple witnesses? They heard the gunshot, apparently. And where our lot got to the scene, when there was only the boss and that Reaper bloke in the room. But there's no way Lord Van Zeeks would have taken Gregson's life. I just don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
What the heck? Oh, Sanjita in HD is really upsetting! Thank you for informing us, Mr. Strayed. She's so upset in HD! This really is most terrible news. I'm dreadfully sorry. What are you saying sorry for? You didn't do nothing! Well, anyway, I'm taking a cab over the scene right now. Please come and all, as soon as you can. You got to help. It's a detective's lot to appear whenever some sinister plot is unfolded. Little wonder we all look haggard. Sometimes, these things are almost too much for the nerves. Mr. Sholmes. What use is there in being a great detective if I fail to see something like this coming, How could I let this happen to Gregson? To Gregson? Mr. Naruhodo, I shall leave at once to begin my investigations. Of course, yes, we will too. It would be helpful if you could talk to Mr. Reaper and see what you can glean. I'm sure you were intending to do so anyway. Until later, then. God, I don't think anyone saw Gregson getting killed, honestly. Inspector Gregson dead, and Lord Van Zeeks arrested. Just because Gregson is in so many cases, you just don't think that, hey, he's gonna die.
Bruno, Susie, I called your handsome. It's waiting outside.
Thanks, Iris. Shall we, Miss Susato?
Yes.
All right, let's go. We need to talk to good old Baroque. This is not a nice place to be seeing this poor prosecutor in. 1st November, local prison, cell 1. There he is. Lord Van Zeek's behind bars.
So it's true. He really was arrested.
He's sitting with his back to the wall, reading something. I don't think he's noticed us. Lord Van Zeek's. This is not a good place for you, man. Fancy meeting you here. The last place on Earth I like to be, but the last person on Earth I like to see. I couldn't very well not come. You heard what happened. That Inspector Gregson was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you.
But... Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but I must disagree. Inspector Gregson was very helpful to us on a number of occasions. We're indebted to him. At the very least, we owe it to him to find out the truth about his death. You must help us with our investigations, please.
There's really nothing I can tell you. What were you just reading at the back of the cell there? Was it something related to the case? This? The guard isn't quite so cavalier with his information as to share details with the suspect. This is a letter from an old acquaintance.
Oh, who might that be?
Is it Harebrain? Someone you know, as it happens. Albert Harebrain. Of course, yes. I keep forgetting they went to the same university. And I would like to read my correspondence in peace. So let's get this over with, shall we? What is it you want to know? Strange. I mean, let's face it. Lord Van Zeeks never minces his words. But they seem to have less bite than usual somehow. Can I present my armband to you? Boink! I think you know what this is, that this is worn by people in my country, to show that they're defense lawyers, don't you? And I think you know that I believe you to be merely playing at lawyercraft, initially. But it would seem your armband may actually imply some dormant talent after all.
Lord Van Zeeks? Do you mean...
Let's hope you wake up soon. Yes, I was clearly daydreaming. I almost thought I got a compliment there. You tsundere! He's so tsundere! Professor Mikatoba has wonderful handwriting, doesn't he? This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy?
I do wish he'd at least call you a nice young man.
I'm really not sure that would help. That was hard. Gina, like, you know, I just have to look at her and I'm already upset. Like, holy crap, her animations and like everything for that scene is just so good.
Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket.
The SS Groose. First class cabin 001. Here comes the Groose. Sorry. Yokohama departure, 11 September. London arrival, 1st November. That's the boat that Professor Mikatoba and Judge Ikoku came on from Japan, isn't it?
Yes, I think it called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for the night before finally arriving in Dover.
To think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Brea. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary.
I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh. Well, how strange. Where could it have gone?
Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo?
Did I imagine it, or was that comic accompanied by a little sigh? Okay. It's written, it's written on the back of a ticket for a passage on a steamship. Okay. Let's see. Chief Warder Daily Vigil is relieved of his post with immediate effect for having violated Clause 132 of Her Majesty's Code of Conduct for Prisons. All rights to redundancy pay and other financial benefits are fully revoked. Aiding and abetting the escape from this prison of convict Professor just prior to his execution. Details of this escape are still being investigated. Full cooperation with inquiries will be expected. Additional indications are that the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarcerations. It's believed that the convict engaged in some form of negotiation with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure of information regarding these negotiations will be demanded. Oh god. Turn into Sholmes as the Groose? That's terrifying. Can you at least tell us your side of the story, Lord Van Zeeks? What happened? How much do you already know? Absolutely nothing!
We know that the inspector was shot dead in a small rented room on Fresno Street.
And that you were found there by the police when they arrived on the scene, and immediately arrested.
We were told that there was nobody else in the room and that some witnesses heard the gunshot.
Then you're well informed. And there's really nothing I can add. The truth is, I don't know what happened myself. But the gunshot. Obviously you didn't fire the gun, did you? I'm not in the habit of shooting the people I work alongside. I also heard the noise. However, before I had a chance to investigate, I was apprehended by the arriving officers. So he doesn't actually know what happened. Sir, why were you all the way out there in the first place?
If I might ask, what were you doing in that place to begin with?
Thank you, Susato. I don't need to answer that. Yes, you do!
Oh.
After all, you're not representing me. He is going to need a lawyer, though. Sorry, bro. I'm going to defend you whether you're going to like it or not. Who's going to be representing you in court, Lord Van Zeeks? Anyone other than you, I should imagine. Oh, you're stubborn, I see. Huh.
Would I be right in assuming that you have no representation as yet?
Defense lawyers shy away from any trial involving the Reaper, as I'm sure you know. But this is different. In my career, of all the defendants I've prosecuted, only 19 have ever been acquitted. Of them, 16 subsequently died in mysterious circumstances. Questions will be asked now.
Surely not.
I assure you, no defense lawyer will want to touch me with the end of a barge pole.
I would!
I'd touch your ass. But you didn't actually have anything to do with those people's deaths, did you? I don't remember what the original number is. It's been 10 years now that I've been known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Believe me, nobody wants to know the true identity of this killer more than I. However, it seems that things may come to a head before I have the chance to uncover the truth about it. What does he mean by that? After the trial, Professor Harebrain was supposed to go straight back to Germany, I thought. It's a letter to inform me of his safe arrival at home. I arranged his passage by sea and rail. It's a relief, I must say. He should now be beyond the reaches of the Reaper.
Because the Reaper doesn't follow people abroad, you mean?
Yes, so it seems. Your stooped little Nipponese friend, for example. You told me he was keeping well in Japan when I inquired the other day. Yes, that's right. He's an author now, happily working in Tokyo.
So Professor Harebrain is safely back in Germany now.
He is. So, it appears our conversation has run dry. There was a 2-second silence. That's all. Well, in any event, if you'll excuse me now, I wouldn't like to detain you. I was wondering, Lord Van Zeeks, if you like, I'd be happy to advocate for you. You trust me, do you? Yes. I've heard you speak many times in court. I've seen how you treat people. So I'm quite sure that you would never have taken another's life. It's just, my feelings can't be used as evidence in a court of law, sadly. Dang, I don't know what it is, but the dialogue in the localized version really makes me want to ship these two more. It's a very gracious offer. However, I trust no one. What? Not the police, not the judiciary, and not you Nipponese. But please. I have no intention of engaging your services. Actually, it's borrow. I think it's borrow Ryu. I think that's the proper ship term for it. Yeah, Ryunosuke is honestly very shippable with a lot of people. Like, he's easy to ship. There's like Ryunosuke is just like, you got ships for like anything that you would like. The chasm between us is just too wide and too deep, it seems. I'd appreciate it if you don't visit again. Then none of us would waste any more time. Perhaps we need to dig a little deeper and find out more about Lord Van Zeeks and what happened to Inspector Gregson. Of course Evie would want more fanfic materials. Okay, I need to fix my headband, 1 second. I mean, not my headband, my headset. 1st of November, room of Fresno Street. Ugh. This really is an out-of-the-way part of London. I doubt many people find their way down this back street. So this dust-ridden rented old room is where it happened then.
So this is where poor Inspector Gregson lost his life.
Yes, and the police are already hard at work investigating, it seems. I don't see Mr. Sholmes anywhere, though. Perhaps his investigation have taken him elsewhere.
Oi! What do you think you're doing there? Every one of them drawers has got to be taken right out so you can look underneath them all. I want the space above the ceiling checked, and don't forget to look inside the chimney stack too. Blimey, ain't you lot ever gone over a house looking for dough when the owners are out of town?
Gina's obviously got some unique investigative techniques she wants everyone to adopt.
Oh, so you turned up at last. Mind you, I ain't been here long myself.
Hello again, Gina.
Sholmes has only just left. You're lucky you missed that. He went prancing around in here, pointing at stuff and flicking that and at and is then. That out and is then. Then just scarpet.
Sorry, I couldn't read that.
Oh, he finished investigating already, you mean? Yeah, they didn't stop to say nothing to no one, not even me.
Gina, would you mind if we investigate too?
Listen, Odo. You're a lawyer, right?
Yes. Why?
Well, you're not thinking of trying to help the Reaper bloke, are you?
Oh. Poor Gina. She's never going to forget, is she? That trial will haunt her forever.
Gina, if you don't mind me saying, if Lord Van Zeeks really is responsible for this crime, he will be duly and fairly judged in court.
I suppose you're right, yeah. I mean, Gina, not too long ago, you were technically in his seat too. Wrongly accused for murder. I think you understand the sentiment.
Go on then, Odo. Get investigating. I want to know the truth about what really happened here.
Thank you, Gina. Did I present my badge, my armband to you yet? I don't know. This armband is proof, in Japan at least, that I'm a defense lawyer.
And this badge is proof that I'm a detective.
Okay, that's not new dialogue.
Oh, it's a photograph stand. I suppose it must be a picture of one of Inspector Gregson's family members.
Are you sure? What's the matter? Your eyes look like they're about to pop out of your head.
They are! Look, Mr. Naruhodo, quickly!
Oh, she's gorgeous. Why do I feel like this woman is familiar somehow? Like, if this is a younger version of her, she's gorgeous.
Of course she's familiar. We met her only this morning.
It's Mrs. Vigil.
This makes no sense. Why would there be a picture of Mrs. Vigil in here?
To be frank, I don't think I've ever been more stumped.
I'm sorry to say, I have no idea either.
Framed photograph. A photograph print of a smiling Mrs. Vigil in her younger years. It was found on a desk at the scene of the crime. An empty fireplace makes a room feel even colder than it would be otherwise, doesn't it?
It's thick with dust. Look. I think it would be fair to say it hasn't been used in a very long time.
In other words, whoever lived in this room must have been extremely hardy in cold weather.
Or nobody lived here at all, and merely visited when the occasion arose. I wouldn't like to say which is more likely.
No, that's right. It's one or the other.
This looks like some sort of notice board or something.
And it's absolutely covered in scraps of paper.
Mr. Naruhodo, look!
This, you mean? It's an autopsy report, isn't it?
And these are case notes here, and details of prison inmates.
Yes, in fact, they're all sort of documents that only a detective could normally acquire. What on earth went on in this room?
Some old newspaper cuttings. And this one here!
Oh yes, the advertisement, you mean? To the Red-Headed League. But why? What's that doing here?
Whoever occupied this room was clearly interested in it for some reason.
What is up with this Red-Headed League? Hello? Excuse me. Oh, Inspector. Oh, sir. Poor man, he can't possibly be able to focus on investigating when he's so upset. Excuse me. Sorry, sir. Can't see a thing, sir. Too many tears, sir. Right, perhaps I better leave you to your work then. Everyone is a sad! Excuse me. If you're looking down on us from the great beyond, Inspector, don't worry. We'll look after things at the yard. I've interrupted some deep thoughts here. Everyone is sad! The top of one of the candles in this candle holder has been completely blown off.
Yes, there's wax splattered on the wall behind it, look.
I suppose if a bullet had hit it.
It does seem likely that the bullet hit the candle, having first passed through the inspector's body.
Ugh. Now that wax on the wall looks like blood to me. Candelabrum. A candelabrum from the wall of the room on Fresno Street, where the inspector was found dead. The top of one of the candles appears to have been blown off. Oh, what's this?
It would appear to be a little model policeman. It's rather charming, isn't it? In a way.
Seeing as it's on the floor here, do you think it belonged to Inspector Gregson?
It's a little hard to imagine Lord Van Zieks playing with something like this.
It's only about 8 centimeters tall. It could have fallen out of someone's pocket, I suppose. I think we should record it as evidence, just in case.
Yes, I agree.
It is rather delightful, after all, in a way. Policeman figure. A small and rather endearing motto of a British police, found at the scene of the crime on Fresno Street. I'm gonna get a drink of water before we continue the investigation. This is presumably the murder weapon, then.
Oh my. Is it real, I suppose?
I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan. I really know very little about them.
There's one way to know for sure, Mr. Naruhodo. Fire a shot.
No, no, no! If I did that, I'd be looking for a skilled lawyer to represent me in court. Slightly safer just to ask someone who might know, I think. Revolver. The murder weapon that was found at the scene of the crime on Fresno Street. Probably best to avoid handling it. So I suppose this is where the victim...
That's right. The rope is laid around the body to show exactly how it was found. Poor Inspector Gregson himself has already been taken away.
And would probably be under Dr. Seuss' scalpel by now, if not for what happened last week.
From the shape of the rope, it would appear that the inspector was curled up in a ball. Are you feeling alright, Mr. Naruhodo? You look like you've just seen a ghost.
I know it's just rope, but, well, it conjures up quite a terrifying image, that's all. Especially with that bloodstain next to it.
Oh, I do understand. In some ways, what we have pictured in our minds can be even worse than reality.
Susato-san is so strong, though. She's taken this far better than I am. Somebody's very haphazardly nailed those boards over the broken glass, haven't they? You couldn't even really call it a window anymore.
Well, if you remember the window in Mr. Natsume's room, that was totally blocked up with bricks. This one does at least still let in some light.
You could say nothing more about it. I'm starting to feel even more sorry for Mr. Natsume now. Yeah, like, this room is also seems surprisingly well off compared to, like, Natsume's. Ever since we came in here, I can't take my eyes off this thing.
Oh! Funny enough, neither can I.
It's a hairpiece, isn't it?
It is! It is! A bright red hairpiece!
And I suppose the fact that it's right there next to where the body was found means we have to accept that Inspector Gregson wore wigs, does it?
And in such a flame color red, too.
Yes, that's a color we've come across very recently elsewhere, isn't it?
Exactly. This is a vital clue, I'm sure of it.
Red hairpiece, a flame red wig at the scene of the crime on Fresno Street. Presumably it belonged to Inspector Gregson. Okay. Did we look at everything then? I think we did. Alright, let's talk to Gina. Hi, Gina. You seem to be doing better now. Gina, what was Inspector Gregson doing here in the first place?
That's what I want to know. It's what? Half a year since I got out of the clink? That's when I decided to give up and me dive in and become a detective instead.
Oh yes, Mr. Shones twisted the inspector's arm to agree to take you as an apprentice, didn't he?
Somewhat like that, I think. Anyway, the point is, I didn't really know much about the boss till then. And it turns out, he's a bit of a legend at the yard. Goodness, really? They say he managed to solve some really tricky case, just like that.
He did.
Yep, and ever since then, he started going out on all sorts of investigations, but always on his own. No one else at the yard even knows what half the cases he's working on are, apparently.
That's not how it's supposed to work, is it? So what was the legendary inspector doing in a dingy little room like this?
I know he had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all, and look where that landed him.
Respect for the Reaper? In what way?
I heard him say it as much. I take my hat off to that fella, were his words.
Not how the general public feels, is it? Most people are terrified of the Reaper.
Yeah, the boss said that exact
that's exactly why he respected the bloke. I didn't realize Gregson held the Reaper in quite such high regard. He said something else to me and all. That I didn't need to worry about the Reaper, cause he only goes after people who are bad. It kind of set my mind at ease when he said that. Right. My god, the foreshadowing here! What is this place then? Does anyone live here? Apparently it's being rented by some cove called Hugh Bone. Hugh Boone is doing it! Ah! His name is still the same! It's sort of here today, gone tomorrow name. That, isn't it? Also, isn't Hugh Bone actually in the Sherlock Holmes story? I think it is. Yeah, he's what we call an unidentified person. We haven't been able to get in touch with him. I see. Well, judging from appearance, I'm slowly making Gina have a southern accent. That's bad. I guess Cockney equals southern in my head. I'm not sure what's going on there. I have to say this place hasn't been lived in for a long time, if ever. Right? All the lads from the yard piled down to get stuck into the investigation. But there's little here. No one knew what to do with themselves. I do wonder. Yes, Mr. Sato? Well, could it be that this Hugh Bone is in fact Inspector Gregson himself? What? How could that be? Well, if he was investigating on his own, it's quite possible that this was in fact some kind of secret office of his. I never even considered that. Nice work, Suze! We're actually following a line of inquiry like that ourselves. You are? If you look around the room, you'll see there's a few things that hint at it. We should really investigate this place in detail. We kinda did already, unless there's something else I need to look at. I see that's where the poor inspector was found. Over there. Yeah, that's right. They said it was a single bullet what did him in. Apparently the bullet went right through him and struck that candle tree on the wall. Oh yes, it's blown one of the candles apart completely. Well, where's the bullet? And the big gun used is and the gun used is there on the floor. It's the Reaper's, in it? No denying that. What? Really? How do you know that? Well, take it easy. I don't know what to do with myself when you stare at me with the big eyes, the big wide eyes. I'm only saying what I've heard, and I don't know much about guns myself. But there's some bigwig lawman or whatever who said so. Why don't you ask him? A bigwig lawman, is it? Anyway, Fresno Street runs along under that window there. There were some street sellers just outside who heard the gunshot. Oh, but I don't recall seeing anybody outside. Yeah, they've all been taken down to the yard for questioning, that's why. We're talking about the yard's legendary inspector here, after all. They'll be getting a grilling. Do you think we might be able to speak with those street sellers ourselves? I doubt it. The lads at the yard will just want to know what you're snooping for, and you'll be up for the grilling and all. So we can't interview the witnesses then. Shame. Gina, what do you make of this? What is that, evidence? Work something out about what happened, have ya? Oh, no, not exactly. I ain't been long enough in the job to get all this deduction business yet, but I swear I'm going to get the person what did this to the boss. Oh, shoot, no, that's not what I want. I wanted to examine, sorry. I've always wondered what the underside of a hairpiece looks like. That doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruhodo. You always want to see what lies beneath, don't you? I'm not sure that's quite how I put it. You must have used lots of bird lime to keep it in place on your head. So it doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind, I mean. That might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think? Okay. I suppose this must have been the murder weapon.
Oh my, it's real. I suppose.
I think so. Guns are rare in Japan. I really know very little about them. Oh, I think I need to present this to somebody. Anyway, let's look at this thing.
The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear.
I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. Almost as if somebody has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. Do it, Susato! Shall we try twisting it around and around too? For fun. What's that?
It appears to be some sort of key.
But it's tiny though. It couldn't be a key for a door, not of that size. So what is it for, I wonder? Giving it a twist caused a key-like shaft to pop out from the base. It looks like some sort of key.
Yes, it does. A very tiny and simple key.
What's a little key doing inside a figurine of a policeman in the first place? And what's it for? Secrets! Oh! There are some black marks here, look!
Yes, they look like some sort of scorch marks.
So perhaps the bullet struck the candle here, do you think? It's only this one candle that's been cracked in half, it seems.
Yes, I think you might be right. Firearms are rarely used by criminals in Japan, so I'm afraid I'm not particularly knowledgeable about them.
Just trying to see if there's anything I can present to her. I don't think there's anything else I can do here from the looks of it. There's nothing else for me to do, I don't think. So, do I go see Vortex now? Do I go see Baroque? No, he doesn't want to talk to me still. I mean, that's all I can think of at this point. I didn't realize we were going so soon. I think what's-his-face is here now, too. 1st of November, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. You've made good time. I took an express train back to London. Yep, he's here. He's here. I can hear Lord Strongheart. Can you?
Yes, it sounds as though he's talking to someone.
Look at that ass! Is everything in place? I had a private compartment on the train so I could check all the paperwork.
It's Kazuma-sama!
Ah, your timing is impeccable. It is? No doubt you have heard the sickening news about the Reaper's latest devilry.
Yes. I'm sure you don't believe it, of course, though, Lord Strongheart. That Lord Van Zieks could have done such a thing to Inspector Gregson.
I believe only in the facts. And the facts in this case point to one thing. The unavoidable accusal of Lord Van Zieks for this crime. We must bring charges against the Reaper for taking the life of our legendary detective.
Oh no, surely not.
It's a truly regrettable situation. Tomorrow, the Forensic Science Symposium finally begins. At the very least, though, we can show the world our justice system's swift and equitable processes. So does that mean the trial is tomorrow? Precisely. And we got some awesome news! In fact, that is a fine opportunity for introductions. Hi, Kazuma in HD! Kazuma. I don't like that look you're giving me, sir. Ah, but of course, you're already acquainted, aren't you? Mr. Sogi here will be present at tomorrow's proceedings, leading the prosecution. Okay. Wait. What? Kazuma? As I'm sure you're aware, he's a very capable practitioner of law. Yes, but it's not legal for someone to suddenly switch over positions.
Kazuma-sama, a prosecutor?
I love, he's just standing there, menacingly! I hate this life! Sir, about this gun! Oh, I guess he doesn't have anything for this. I hate everything. Hold on, I need to get a picture. Let me get a, hold on. I'm gonna present this again because there was actually a moment of, like, no text, and I'm gonna grab a picture. Gotcha! I got it! Ooh, can I present the Redheaded League? Will you say anything to this? No. Oh my god, Kazuma is just probably standing back there, like, judging the shit out of me as I'm just presenting nonsense at him. Anyway, I'm sure you can imagine that tomorrow's trial will be closely followed all over London. In fact, no. People over the Empire will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. I mean, maybe if Kazuma didn't look so damn hot, I wouldn't try to get a picture of him, you know? There's no salvation for anyone in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey. And now, the Reaper himself must stand in the dock. Quite so, and that was Ryunosuke's line, and I just read that, whatever. Quite so, the public wants answer about the Reaper. Answers about how and why those who escaped conviction subsequently died mysterious deaths.
But Lord Van Zeeks firmly denies any involvement in such matters.
And there have been thorough investigations that have proven him to be innocent. That's certainly true. Or it has been, at least, until now. No, tomorrow's trial will mark the start of a new chapter in our country's great judicial history. Why we gotta do this? Why do we gotta do this, Kazuma? We gotta do this dance all over again, don't we? So, Kazuma will be prosecuting tomorrow? That's right.
But he's a defense lawyer, Lord Strongheart.
Accomplished young law practitioners cannot pick and choose their roles. And imagine what it will mean for the prosecution to know the strategies commonly employed by the defense. Isn't that cheating? Sir, that's cheating. A devastating combination, wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. I've no doubt at all that Kazuma will be razor sharp as a prosecutor. Absolutely terrifying. I do not want to deal with Prosecutor Kazuma when he's in a very bad mood. But why Kazuma-sama? Revenge!
There are surely many other highly skilled prosecutors in Great Britain.
Revenge, Susato! This guy is hell-bent on revenge! It was a personal request. I asked to be assigned to the trial. You asked for this? But why? It'll all become clear tomorrow. I'm guessing you intend to stand for the defense, don't you? Although, the Reaper appears to be turning down all offers of representation.
I'm surprised such a personal request would have been upheld.
I don't know, Strongheart seems the type of person who just kind of likes the theatrics, okay? And he seems to like the drama. So of course, let's pit the two best friends together. That sounds like an entertaining show.
It seems unprecedented. Quite exceptional, in fact.
You are quite right, Miss Mikotoba. Tomorrow's trial will be unprecedented and exceptional in every way. Revenge for cutting open bottles! After all, the accused is one of Britain's greatest prosecutors. The pride of the Empire. It would be unwise to give the public a reason to perceive it as a judiciary closing ranks. So that's why you're happy to let a foreigner handle the prosecution? Ryanosuke, let's see how your skills have been honed after practicing law in this land for so many months.
Kazuma, I don't understand why you're being so hostile to me now. This is going to end well, my friend.
Oh yes, we noticed that there was a gun at the scene of Inspector Gregson's death. Do you know if it belongs to Lord Van Zeeks? That would be a question for the lead detective investigating the scene. Well, the thing is, she wasn't sure, so she told me I should ask somebody higher up who might know.
That's right, Mr. Naruhodo. Be direct.
You got this, Naruhodo! It's certainly a motto that issued to all personnel involved in law enforcement, yes. Which includes prosecutors, as I'm sure you can imagine.
In that case, it could actually have belonged to the victim.
No, Gregson had his gun on his person. What about Lord Van Zeeks? He claims it's currently not in his possession. What? According to his story, he lost it. In short, it's more than a little suspicious.
But just because the gun in question is the same type as the defendant is no proof that it's actually his.
No, of course not. Nevertheless, the situation is grave for Lord Van Zeeks. What else do I gotta do? Hello? Wait. Hi. Hello. I'm sorry for all the worry I've caused you, but it'll be alright now. Has your memory completely returned? Yes, completely. I remember everything. Including what I was coming here to do. Right.
Kazuma-sama, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you alive and well like this. But how did you come to be here in London when you were suffering from amnesia?
Pure spite. It was the voice. This past year, I've been hearing it in my head constantly, saying the same thing over and over. Go to London. That's where your destiny awaits. It was that voice that guided me here to London.
I'm so sorry for what's happened.
Anyway, my memory might have returned to me. But there's something that won't return to the way it was before. Huh? What do you mean? I'm a prosecutor now. So I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon. I kind of like the Japanese dialogue for that. It's basically, he said, I'm a prosecutor, so we shouldn't be seen together, basically. Something along that line. I kind of prefer that line over that one. Doesn't look like we're going to glean much more here. Well, thank you very much, Lord Strongheart. Remember, tomorrow's trial will go down in our empire's history. There's much you could learn from the public gallery. I'm gonna go defend Baroque. Sorry to have taken up so much of your time. We'll see ourselves out.
Hold it!
Ooh! I got a hold it from Kazuma! Ooh, that's the first time we heard that, haven't we? Before you go, Ryunosuke. Oh, what is it, Kazuma? I just wanted to thank you.
Kazuma-sama, what?
You took my determination to heart and brought it with you over the ocean in my stead. And you carried out my role to perfection.
You always were intent on studying British law in order to change our own justice system. It was your dream, and Mr. Naruhodo didn't want that to die with you.
Yes, but I had another purpose for coming here.
Oh.
I actually have a favor to ask, which is, this trial I'll be prosecuting tomorrow. I'd like you to be there to see how it ends. Right in front of me, as the defense counsel. What's this all about? I know you have what it takes. But Lord Van Zieks would never put his fate in my hands. On the contrary, he recognizes your talent. He does? It's not easy to see behind the facade sometimes. Here, have a look at this. That's... it's the picture!
That's Lord Van Zieks and Inspector Gregson.
And his big bro! In a photograph that must have been taken some time ago by the look of it.
He's so happy!
And who's the third person?
Look at him, he's so happy in the picture!
It was displayed very prominently in the detective's office. In Gregson's office, you mean? Yes. What I'm trying to say is, if you think you can trust the Reaper, you might find that some straight talking makes him take a different view. Take it. Thanks! Gregson's photograph, an old photographic print displayed rather prominently in Inspector Gregson's office, as if it was a treasured memory. I don't understand. Why are you giving me this? Just hurry, Ryunosuke. Visiting hours at the prison are almost over. What are you doing, Kazuma? What are you doing indeed? Alright, do you have anything new for me? Nope. Alright, goodbye. Wait, no, this is a better picture of him. Snapu! Okay. Moving! We're moving! First November, local prison, cell number 1. Lord Van Zieks is still reading that letter.
We've been gone quite some time, though.
Either he's an incredibly slow reader, or it's an incredibly long letter. I might even be able to read English faster than he can. I was intending to ignore you entirely. But I can't turn a deaf ear to such an insulting Nipponese. Oh, sorry. I didn't think you heard that. I had the case notes brought to me in secret. I was reading them to pass the time.
Yes, we heard that your trial is set for tomorrow.
Which is none of your business. So, have you found a lawyer? How many times must I reiterate the same thing? This has nothing to do with you. In other words, no.
We were just talking to Lord Strongheart, and the prosecutor for your trial has been decided.
I expect nothing less. Though I have no idea who it is. Well, you want to know? It's going to be Kazuma Asogi. Look! Asogi! That made the color drain from his face. Well then. It seems I'm going to have to engage in conversation with you again after all. Yep, deal with it, and make us your defense attorney. 10 years ago, my older brother, who was the director of prosecutions at the time, was murdered. And the killer, as you know, was a visiting student from the Far East. Not a single day goes by when I don't curse the name Asogi.
Genshin Asogi was Kazuma-sama's father.
So what cruel twist of fate is this now, 10 years later? The man's son is to crucify me in some kangaroo court. He said kangaroo court. I still don't understand why Lord Strongheart apprenticed Kazuma to you. It's what he does. No doubt he knew of the young man's true identity from the outset.
But what could he have been hoping to achieve?
And let's not forget that it was only 8 days ago that Kazuma recovered from his amnesia. Why would Lord Strongheart assign this trial to somebody like that? Asogi. That name is the very epitome of my bane. The bane that you Nipponese, that is you Nipponese. Right, your hatred of all of us Japanese. I'd only just been appointed as a prosecutor when it happened 10 years ago. My brother Clint, the director of prosecutions, was hunting down a mass murderer, the so-called professor. Assigned to the investigation as his partner was a certain visiting student dispatched from Scotland Yard.
And that was Genshin Asogi.
Exactly. I developed a deep respect for the man. He seemed noble-minded and chivalrous, in the extreme to me. But none of us saw the true nature of the man. So I lost everything when it happened. My esteemed brother, the people I believed in, and any semblance of right prevailing over wrong.
Oh, how awful.
To avenge my brother, I prosecuted Asogi's trial. And it wouldn't ordinarily have been allowed, but I beleaguered the ascribed prosecutor until he consented.
What do you mean by the ascribed prosecutor?
The man in charge of the professor case inquiry, Lord Male Strongheart.
Wait, what?
Lord Strongheart? He was a highly accomplished prosecutor, but he agreed to relinquish the trial to me and act as my advisor instead. Since that time, he's the one person to whom I felt indebted.
I'm sure he must have seen your zeal for the case and recognized your potential as a prosecutor.
Anyway, time passed, but then earlier this year, who should arrive in London but you? And, of all things, as a lawyer. I felt your animosity the first time I ever faced you in the courtroom. Your obvious deep loathing of us Japanese. I kept telling myself it was illogical. But for so many years, that hatred has festered inside me. I could no longer control it. And I can understand why. Now I know the history. But in the same way that I've long felt the Nipponese to be the bane of my life, to Kazuma Asogi, I am the bane of his, the reaper who sent his father to the gallows. He's looking for revenge, and he intends to take it in court tomorrow. Yeah, Naruhodo, this is not going to be a very pleasant trial. This is a man fixated on revenge, and it's going to be nasty. Gregson transferred to the Paris? I guess that's actually a way to pronounce it. Paris Police Prefecture. Why? And had been finally arranged for the coming month. But he'll never make it to France now. It's a tragedy. Oh yes, come to think of it, he did mention something about that, didn't he?
I wonder, does it happen often? Being transferred internationally, I mean.
It's the first time I've ever encountered it.
Oh!
The Paris police welcome an English detective is almost inconceivable. I can't imagine what kind of magic Gregson must have worked to put that arrangement in place. It sounds like that mystery has even the Reaper perplexed.
I'm afraid to say that we were very ignorant about Inspector Gregson's standing. We hear that he was considered something of a legend at Scotland Yard.
Oh, Gregson's theme! Do-do-do-do-do! Again, it was 10 years ago that he first made a name for himself, by uncovering a decisive piece of evidence that exposed the professor's identity. If it wasn't for Gregson's singular approach to the case, the discovery would never have been made. What sort of approach? After my brother's life was taken, the inspector pushed for a full autopsy.
Oh my! 10 years ago?
Why is that so surprising? Autopsy was considered a desecration of the body at the time, and rarely performed. And my brother was of course a noble. That made the idea of it even more unthinkable. But something Gregson had dug up in his investigations made him determine it was necessary. His powerful conviction somehow influenced the House of Lords, and as a result, I could avenge my brother's death. So, you must have had great confidence in the inspector's abilities then.
And it's even more inconceivable that you would have taken his life.
I don't have confidence in anyone.
Oh.
And I'm sure Gregson felt the same way. And no doubt, he thought of me only as the ominous Reaper, just like the rest of London. Hey, I got evidence that says otherwise, sir, but I think I had one more from you. What really went on between Lord Van Zieks and Gregson, I wonder? What was the true nature of their relationship? About the gun used to shoot the inspector that was found at the scene. Ah yes, that's not mine. Really? Because common opinion seems to be that it is. What do you expect me to say to that?
Lord Strongheart informs us that you claim to have misplaced your firearm.
As embarrassing as that is, I'm afraid it's true. When did you lose it then? That, I don't know.
Oh!
I was issued with a revolver when I first became a prosecutor 10 years ago. I must have stowed it somewhere, I suppose. Or left it somewhere, perhaps.
You have something in common with Lord Van Zieks after all, Mr. Naruhodo. A talent for misplacing things.
No. This has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into it. Don't make the mistake of associating me with this Nipponese. Aw, you two, please.
Oh dear. The rift is very wide, isn't it?
Geez, just kiss and make up, you two. So it's not decisive evidence, clearly. But it doesn't look good, that's for sure. Please. Alright, sir. I got something to show you. Lord Van Zieks, we came by this old photograph. Where did you get that? It was taken when I became a qualified prosecutor. It's almost unbelievable. I assumed it was long lost. Is the man on the left there? Yes, that's my brother, Clint. Old photographic print displayed rather prominently in the office. The person on the left is Lord Clint Van Zieks. It had to be, really. Apparently, this picture was prominently displayed in Gregson's office. He had a deep respect for you, you know. Were you aware of that? Respect? That's nonsense. No, we've heard someone attest to it very clearly. Inspector Gina Lestrade, no less. Well, maybe once, yes. There was a time things were like that. We were both brothers in arms, jovially discussing the future of justice and other such lofty subject matter. That was a nice glimpse of the past. I thank you. I feel as though I got a nice glimpse of the past then, too. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes, a brief twinkle, an insight into the true nature of this man known to all as the stone-cold reaper of the Bailey. Mr. Naruhodo.
He said his name! You said his name! This old corker just said his name!
Oh, that's the first time he's ever used my actual name. I've lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't trust the police, the judiciary, or lawyers. But there's still one thing I'm willing to believe in. What's that? That which you see in the eyes of another across the courtroom. A simple determination to know the truth. Lord Van Zeeks. From the very first time we clashed in the Bailey almost a year ago now, I couldn't deny it, even though I dearly wished I could. Here is a loathsome Nipponese, who has absolute integrity as a lawyer. There are only two other men I've known with that same look in their eyes. My brother, Clint, and Genshin Asogi. The man he idolized, and the man who betrayed his trust in the most hideous way. When you showed me that photograph just now, it reminded me. You mean this photograph? Back then I was able to laugh. I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plagued me now. I looked to the future with hope. Since then, I protected myself against betrayal by refusing to trust anyone. But at times, the mire into which I've sunk makes it almost impossible to breathe. I'm so sorry. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I want to believe in that look in your eyes. I need to believe in it. In tomorrow's trial, will you advocate for me?
Of course I will. It would be an honor. I'm so pleased, Mr. Naruhodo.
Then my life is in your hands.
That scene!
For Lord Van Zeeks, that must have been an incredibly hard thing to ask. Which is why I simply cannot let the man down. Tomorrow, in the Old Bailey, against my old friend, Kazuma. You're right, friendship ended with Kazuma. New friend, Baroque Van Zeeks. To be continued. Which, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue because, that was a 3-hour long investigation. I have 2 hours left. I have to take a